And you come back, but you have to make it about Jewish Americans. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you?
Is Israel a Jewish state? Yes or no? The line that says the Miller's lie. Is that not coded language? Or therefore we are Jewish?
So what happened in the Holocaust and all the pogroms were disgusting. That doesn't mean that.
Guys, I've always wondered what kind of woman can marry a Stephen Miller, and we have found out. She's just as racist, bigoted, and everything else in between as her husband is. Like, I didn't think you could find a soulmate for a Stephen Miller. God got somebody for everybody. So if you were out there looking and thinking that you will never find your soulmate, we have just been proven that God will have somebody for everybody. Now, y'all, before we jump further into this clip, I just want to thank y'all so much. We're currently at 248 subscribers. I was hoping to get to 250 before the end of November. We are going to get there before the end of tonight. Thank y'all so much. I extremely appreciate all of the love and support that y'all have been pouring in and giving me through the comments and liking and sharing the videos. And let's dive straight into this clip.
All right, now I'm done. Go ahead.
Why is it that every time someone wants to criticize Mamdani, it immediately comes back to the Jews and the anti-Israel movement instead of actually talking about his viewpoints, which is that
nobody said Jews. You just said it. You always do that. We say Israel, you say Jews. We say Israel is a government. Please don't make it about Jewish Americans. And you come back, but you have to make it about Jewish Americans. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you?
Is Israel a Jewish state? Yes or no?
Yeah. First of all, okay, so Saudi Arabia is a Muslim state, and you can criticize it all day long, all day long. There's no special protection
because
for
what you're
Muslims
doing is you're decoding language
that calls themselves a Jewish state or a Muslim state.
We should not be here and we should not be in existence, and that you would be happy for other people like Mamdani to use it.
I want Israel to be safe.
Nothing of the sort.
Nonsense. You're totally lying. It's very normal for a Miller to be completely and utterly lying. That's not true. We want Israel to be a safe haven for Jews, 1967 borders. But you guys say, no, more Palestinian land. Take Gaza, take the West Bank, take southern Lebanon. Your greed knows no bounds. And by the way, you and your husband are supposed to be working for America, not for Israel. I think you're betraying this country.
All right, Cenk, let Katie.
Piers, if I can just jump in here on a quick note.
Omar, I'll come to you, but let Katie finish her point, then I'll come to you. Katie.
No, Piers, quite frankly, I'm really sick and tired of this racist, bigoted rhetoric that comes from people like you against my husband, against my family, and my children. I am raising Jewish children in this country.
Who brought your children into this? What a weirdo.
Piers, I'm going to be done with this if you're going to allow racist and bigoted attacks against one of your commentators just for the sake that he will not
hang on.
Speaking.
Katie, to be clear, Katie, to be clear,
he inserted a line that says the Miller's lie. Is that not coded language? Or therefore we are Jewish? Come on, Piers, where are you?
What?
Where are you standing?
Hold on, I did not mean to laugh. I didn't mean to laugh. I apologize. I did not mean to laugh. It's just that how did the Millers always lie? Because her husband, Stephen Miller, just a straight racist, bigot. If you listen to his speeches, they sound eerily like speeches given during the time of Hitler. That is just a straight up fact. The fact that they're Jewish, that is kind of ironic, if I must say so myself. The fact that they're Jews is ironic to me. I'm not even going to lie. I didn't know they were Jewish. However, even Julia Michaels, who says so many bad things about like slavery, black people, all those nasty, Islamophobic, anti-black, anti-LGBT things that she said, even her face is like, what? Like, she doesn't even try to jump in. Piers Morgan is looking like, what is going on? How does she make this connection? Like, I love looking at these and reacting to these videos just because it just shows you how the MAGA mind works. It does not work like linear. Like, they don't use logic to get to the next conclusion. She went straight into her feelings. But let's keep on watching, y'all. I'm sorry. It took me a minute.
God, you're so
Katie,
pathetic.
if I can speak.
Everything's your shield.
If I can speak, listen.
Fire him, cancel America. Oh my God, Israel's feelings have been hurt. Why don't you work for this country?
Can we try and get
this country instead of Israel?
Can we try? All right, can we please? All right, let's stop the ad hominem attacks. Let's try and get this back to a more civilized debate, which is actually about the likely incoming mayor of New York. Katie, I was giving you the chance to respond. If you want me to do it for you, I'm happy to do that. But normally in a panel discussion, if someone makes...
You know, Piers,
I agree, and you shouldn't be interrupted. So Katie, let me just ask you, separate, let's not get into ad hominem stuff. It's honestly, I think the viewers are sick of it. Let me just ask you, Katie, what is your fundamental opposition to Mamdani? Because my view of Mamdani is, he's very charismatic. He's a skillful politician. He has reined back on some of the more inflammatory things. He undeniably said, the stuff he said about the NYPD would be for some people disqualifying, frankly, in a city like New York. But he's managed to come through that by reining back on some of that stuff. And he is, as Cenk Uygur rightly points out, he has a remarkable popularity with young Jewish New Yorkers. I mean, it is remarkable that for someone who people have branded anti-Semitic, a lot of Jewish New Yorkers simply don't agree. They want to vote for him. So he is what he is. I also think, as Gillian pointed out, that probably a more obvious stick to beat him with politically are his views, which are pretty socialist. And what is fascinating about this, politically looking at the totality and potentially a future general election, is if you have a progressive socialist like Mamdani who wins in New York, is that the way the Democratic Party is now going to go? And does that have any chance of winning against what would likely be another MAGA candidate in 2028? So these are big picture issues that will come out of a Mamdani victory. But from your perspective, Katie, what is your fundamental opposition to Mamdani becoming New York mayor?
I want to start off with, do you agree when your guest says that the Millers always lie? Because that's what your guest on your show just said, is that the Millers always lie. And so now I'll continue into saying...
Before we let her speak, did you see how Piers Morgan had to gently lead her through the water? With such a leading question, he gave her so much red MAGA meat that she could grasp onto to try and help her save face. Because as of right now, this is viral. This is viral content. People are looking at her and saying, oh, that's why they're together. Her and Stephen are exactly alike. They could be brother and sister. Because she really went off the deep end. Have y'all seen any of Stephen Miller's interviews? They sound exactly alike. And now she's still harping on the same thing. But let's keep on listening, y'all.
Mamdani, just as you said here, is a socialist. He is someone who is going to drive New York to the bottom. I'm excited for him to win because he'll prove to every other single large city in our country that what you will see is failure, what you will see is high crime, what you will see is murders, what you will see is a prominent city in our country fall into complete disrepair, and you will see large amounts of capital and tax dollars exit the city immediately, because what people are voting for is their own downfall. When you play into identity politics as he's done, when you stand behind a podium and your first comment is, oh my gosh, my aunt on the train, instead of talking about all those who lost their lives on 9/11, then you're doing something wrong, Piers. But I will sit here and say, that for the reasons in which he is wrong and which he will drive New York into failure is again the same reason why people on your show, instead of arguing the merits, as you say, of his opinions, they're going to sit here and use attacks on my husband and myself instead of debating us on our values and our opinions. It is gross, it is racist, and it is bigoted. And I will not join your show again if you...
Your values suck. That's what I'm debating.
This is so ridiculous. Yeah.
Well, Katie, let me just make it clear.
If I can jump here, Piers.
No, Cenk, stay out of this. Katie, let me just respond to that. Katie, normally, when someone makes an ad hominem attack on another panelist, that panelist is on the receiving end, gives it back, right? And you've chosen instead, it seems to me, to want me to do that for you. I don't mind doing that, right? But to me, you could easily respond. You're perfectly skilled and capable enough to respond to what Cenk said about you, and you've done that. And you've argued, very passionately why Mamdani would be a New York mayor. I'm not taking sides here. I actually don't like any of the ad hominem attacks that come on the show. But it's interesting to note that there have been an increasing number of very ad hominem attacks on Mamdani, and a lot of it has had a whiff of genuine Islamophobia. And I don't think it means that any of us have to endorse that or anything to actually accept that that is what's been happening. And I see the same thing happen with Jewish candidates in American politics. I see a stench of anti-Semitism from certain quarters towards Jewish candidates. But we certainly see this with Mamdani, and it's ugly, and it's horrible, and it shouldn't be. Yeah, you are a guest on my show, and I appreciate you coming on the show, and I like you coming on the show.
And I'm saying the two other guests on your show are welcome to participate in these anti-Semitic attacks that is so permeated.
I'm going to pause just because it was going on long, and I want to say something real quick. First of all, Piers Morgan is literally having to like babysit her. Like, have you noticed that a lot of people in Trump world and Trump's administration especially, they have like very low emotional intelligence. They are like the snowflakes of snowflakes. She has now made this entire section, which was supposed to be about her expressing her views on what Mamdani's policies are going to do and how they're going to affect New York. But I just can't get over how much of a snowflake she is. How much of a Karen she turned into over a debate. Like, she took it so personal. It really was not that personal. Let's keep on going, y'all.
On CNN and MSNBC.
This is so ridiculous. I'm sorry. I have to jump in here. Somebody criticizing you personally is not an anti-Semitic attack. If somebody says that you are lying, that is not an attack on Jews. That is an attack on you. And just stop hiding behind identity. This is all the snowflake behavior that the right is supposedly criticizing the left for, that you're simply repeating here. Yes, Stephen Miller is a destructive force in American society. That is not an attack on Jews. That is no reference to his identity. This is an attack on him individually, and just deal with the merits of this case. And also, when it comes to Mamdani and all the stuff that he said,
let's go there.
Whatever you want to call him, that's you have to be clear about the fact.
Bring us the Israeli state, right? That's how we got here in the first place. Let's rewind.
Mamdani, and we should be clear about what Mamdani said in relation to policing in New York and Israel.
How we got here was Jillian very perfectly pointed out that we should not use politics to get here, and immediately we went to the state of Israel.
Of people, no, I'm sorry. The state of Israel is not identity politics. That is a foreign government that is engaged in genocide and war crimes. And we're allowed to criticize that without you pulling identity politics into this. It is utterly unrelated. And Mamdani, by the way, he was not asked about 9/11 and just randomly decided to drag his aunt into this. He's talking about Islamophobia specifically in a context in which he is under relentless Islamophobic attacks, including by Andrew Cuomo. And in that context, he brought up the story of his aunt and the fear that she felt living in New York City. That is a legitimate part of the conversation. And you pretending that this was comments about him having disregard for the real victims of 9/11 who actually died on that day is such dishonest smearing against him. And I'll say all the references that Mamdani has made in reference to policing and the IDF is simply pointing out factually that there is collaboration there.
I go to New York a lot. I love New York.
The point of this was just to show you like the MAGA mind. This is Stephen Miller's wife. You can see the similarities. Now, I point this out because later in this same panel, she goes on and threatens Cenk Uygur's citizenship. Let's watch that clip.
What happened in the Holocaust was
you don't get a pass for calling them the
Hold on. So what happened in the Holocaust and all the pogroms were disgusting. That doesn't mean that Israel, pretending to represent Jews across the world, gets to commit another genocide upon a totally innocent people and collective punishment and murder of children over and over again.
Now I'm gonna leave that alone. She has like not trying to make fun of people with Tourette's because that is a real disorder. But she has like y'all see her face, like she's like building up, like it's like she has no control. It's like she has no self-control whatsoever. She goes in the middle, like everybody is just like they ignore her. She literally threatens his citizenship over losing a debate. You better make sure that your favors are fine, or you'll be just like Ilhan Omar. Are you serious, woman? Did you lose the plot? You threaten his citizenship because he points out that Israel killed 46 children that had nothing to do with the conflict. Because I doubt there was any kids that were doing this. Why didn't you go after other Hamas soldiers at minimum? You went to children. That is a war crime. But I digress. Y'all tell me what y'all think about all this in the comments. I hope y'all enjoyed this clip. I just really wanted to react to it and to look at it, and I really wanted to share with y'all because I thought it was such a interesting clip just to look at the MAGA mind, especially Stephen Miller's wife. Because I was like, who kind of person marries a Stephen Miller? What kind of person marries a white nationalist, racist bigot? And we found out he met his soulmate. Like they look like soulmates. They look like they have very interesting conversations together. She looked like she was media trained by him or whoever trained him, because they have the exact same speech patterns, cadence, diarrhea, spitting out anything that does not make any sense, but they try and make it make some kind of like they do the weave, like Donald Trump said. But like I said, y'all, tell me what y'all think about all this in the comments. We're at 248 subscribers. I'm so thankful. Like, I thought we were going to get to 250 by the end of November, and it looks like we might get to it before midnight. I appreciate y'all. I love y'all so, so much. Please, like I said, like, comment, share this video with somebody who might enjoy this while we're trying to grow this community. And I'll see you on the next one. Bye.